Thanks for having me. Thanks, Brittany. It's an honor to be here. This is the second time I come to this event in Vancouver, the first time last year. We did record the panel that I was on, and I kind of like to keep those recordings because many of the stuff that I talked about then, they're kind of happening now. So, you know, I like to call myself a clairvoyant. Kind of seeing the future, and some of the things that I want to tell you today, they will be happening in the near future, and some other things, none of them, they're speculations about the market. But if you do know deep down certain elements about the technology, you can make your own prediction about the market. So I don't get into any predictions for market or whatnot, and that's, by the way, it's kind of illegal. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is some of the, I think this is not, I'm going through all of the speakers, I guess. So maybe we need to load the presentation. While loading the presentation, I'm going to talk to you about some of the elements that they're missing in the technological stack to enable blockchain to be the disruption and revolutionary the way you've heard it is. Currently, how many of you have heard that the blockchain is revolutionary? Please raise a hand. Fantastic. Now, we all want it to be revolutionary, and I'm glad I saw pretty much over 90% of the audience. Currently, we're getting less than 0.2% global adoption using blockchain. That's in 10 years. Something that is revolutionary doesn't really, get stuck at 0.2%. Will likely be over 20%. We've noticed that in World Wide Web and others. So it looks very depressing. I mean, 0.2%. It's kind of like a failure. And the only thing that drives people is FOMO effect. We've noticed it last year. Almost everyone and their cousins and their mothers, they've reached out last year. They wanted to buy crypto. And they reached out around that same time. And this is the time that I said, no. What we have noticed over the last few years resembles a wave. What we are yet to experience is a tsunami. The tsunami will wash out all of the scammers that they came in that wave. The tsunami will wash out all of the mud that came in that wave. But at the same time, those that they're going to resist the tsunami are going to be the ones that get impacted the most. Luckily, we're noticing a lot of folks in large companies and governments and so on and so forth that they are very well driven to empower tsunami and help shaping it. I encourage each and every one of you to think when you go home, do you really want your life to just be passing and not do anything about it? Do you want to resist the tsunami? Or do you want to help shape it to make this world a better place? This is the time that you can do something about it and not wait until there's another FOMO effect or whatnot, and not wait until it takes off, because once it takes off, it's a bit too late. Not a bit too late, it's too late. So the remaining 99.8% of the population, they're still excluded, and we need to get to them. Why? We've heard the promises of the blockchain. They're too good to pass on. I mean, from health to law enforcement, IoT, cybersecurity, AML, ATF. Many people originally with the blockchain, they said, oh, you know, this is going to be used for money laundering. Now, almost every single bank, they're using it to prevent money laundering, or they're looking into it. Many, they said this is so bad because it's just going to empower terrorist financing. It's being used to prevent terrorist financing. The technology can be revolutionary. It's not there yet. We need to talk about what does it take to get it there. Now first, before I talk to what it takes to get there technologically, what it means to each and every one of you. Now, something that is decentralized, that is distributed, those are two different things. They mean two different things. The meaning of those two things, they mean different things. So they get confused quite often, decentralized and distributed. Distributed computing has been around for a long time, but when it's centrally controlled, the attack can be from within. Something that is distributed and is decentralized should be able to be powered by your mobile device. There's something super cool about mobile devices that exist in almost every Homo sapien that walk. And if part of that processing that is running on your mobile device is actually securing the system and enabling the system, it can give us something that is unprecedented and can prevent leakages, which means that there is no database, no miners, none of those, that they can be external to the system. So before we get there, and why we didn't get there, are researchers free? When we look at IBM trying to get into the blockchain, and Microsoft, and most recently AWS, and so on and so forth, are they free? How many of you have heard that the blockchain, or synonymously to blockchain, is called DLT, Distributed Ledger Technology, that it's called? Please raise a hand, DLT. How many haven't heard of DLT, Distributed Ledger Technology? All right. So it was coined initially by Deloitte, and to just confuse people more, because none of the blockchains that are out there are actually distributed. They're all replicated. The blockchains that are out there could use a ledger or not. It doesn't have to be a ledger. So when we look at researchers, they're actually trying to research how to make the ledger works. And to talk about ledger, it's not about a ledger, it's about a value. And initially, the design for the blockchain used the ledger because it was mimicking centralized system of how it manages value. Okay? Now, what happened 6.5 years ago, there's an exploitation that happened on a Bitcoin protocol that not a lot of people tell you about it. Either they're getting paid not to tell you about it, or they're hoping to get paid, or they just simply don't know. So that exploitation is partially responsible for why we are stuck at 0.2%. That exploitation is basically every single blockchain inherited part of that exploitation. It started enhancing certain parts of the machine, which is called the hash cache. It's part of the proof of work. Ethereum uses it, Bitcoin uses it, and ended up separating what's called mining from the users. You're supposed to be the miners by design, but now it's a separate group of people that they do mining. While many, they're talking about the scalability, but we need to talk about one fundamental issue, the security. When it's a separate group, are they centralized? Second, is it efficient, or how much are they extracting from the system? Bitcoin alone this year, $6.3 billion year to date, from January 1st until today. Extraction from the users to a different group called miners. Ethereum, $3.4 billion from January 1st until now. This is something that I mentioned last year at the VanFUNDIng, when many people, they're talking about scalability and how to manage smart contract and whatnot. And I did tell folks, it's the cost. And many people, they're like, well, I don't see the cost. When I use my smart contract, I run it, and it's only like 20 cents. That's the fees. Fees can always hide the true cost. Like, well, where do I see the cost? Well, when folks are printing Ether, you're supposed to be printing Ether. Every 15 seconds, there's 3 ETH that gets printed. 6.2 million ETH per year. Everything that I say here, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to trust me. You can go and verify for yourself. $3.4 billion extraction this year from users. The 6.2 million Ether that gets printed per year, if you can't sell more than 6.2 million, the price is going to drop. And that's how they got you. They get you to buy Ether, they get Ether to drop. That's how they get you. And they will get you again. Now, many of you, they would see that mining is an opportunity. Well, I can certainly tell you it might be an opportunity if you do it the right way, if you do it to bridge people. You need to look at the value being presented to people. So researchers, are they free? No, they're not. They're being constrained of how to build a ledger. They're being constrained of how to make mining better and do exploitations. This is what they're doing. This is a picture of Hiroshima. That's what constrained researchers end up doing. It could do something that could destroy the planet. Mining today consumes energy as much as 10 Hiroshimas per day, every day. Over 10 Hiroshimas. So, you know, I'm here standing and telling you this, and then if tomorrow someone would give you the opportunity to do mining and make, you know, 1/6 of the mining Bitcoin next year, that's $1 billion, you won't care about what I'm saying. You're just going to go ahead and do it. So it doesn't matter, you know, it's like 10 Hiroshimas or 20 Hiroshimas. If it's money that's going to go into your pocket, you are going to go and do it. That's a natural thing. That's Homo sapien. That's how you do it. If you can get away with it, you'll do it. So what we are trying to do here is build a system that can enable folks that they are driven by greed, fear, need, to incorporate altruism by design, and you end up making even more money by making this world a better place. If you look at electronic money system and you have a task to power Madagascar because inclusion, financial inclusion, or because they call it banking the unbanked or whatever. Those are schemes, okay? Banking the unbanked, if you want to go to Madagascar and give them banking system, when they have $1,560 GDP per capita, you're going to be extracting wealth through every transaction. There is no electronic money system that doesn't do that today. And you can find out by asking the question, where is the processing? Database, is it in New Mexico, is it in China, whatever it is. Every single time people, they transact, there's money is going to leak out, which means you're going to reduce their chances towards prosperity. Instead, if you help towards prosperity and get them from $1,560 per year to $15,000 per year, and you get 20% shave, that's, you know, $3,000 per Homo sapien per year. That's a lot more than taking percentage of their 1,560. There's an opportunity for everybody, but people, they need to plan long term and see adding value. Provide them perhaps with a system that what they have, mobile devices, network, and people, that's all they have. The system, that's all it needs to run. And if it needs any additional component, you need to quantify it. Quantifying it, according to the Gates Foundation, and I think McKinsey did some study on that, and in KPMG, they all came to the same conclusion that over 90% of the money get extracted out in 3 years. 90%. I'm not talking 1%, 2%. Every transaction, there's like, you know, 1%, sometimes 0.1%. But over 3 years, over 90% is extracted out. So yeah, global prosperity can be an opportunity for everybody. And now I'm going to talk about why and what are the 5 necessities. And just a reminder, cars came first, then roads. And we think the same thing is happening in the blockchain. The blockchains, they came first, but if you think your blockchain is a Ferrari while the other person's blockchain is like a Toyota, they both can run better on roads and not in a jungle. Horses can outperform any car in the jungle. So current blockchains, little security. As much as you hear it's like they're very high in security, decentralized, whatever, as I've just explained, that exploitation, erase that, okay? Currently, if I want to send you blockchain, if I want to send you Bitcoin transaction, and the miners, they don't like the address that I'm sending it from, they can just simply block it. So every transaction that happens in Bitcoin today costs humanity about $15. You might see, oh, it's only 2 cents. Oh, you know, look at that. It's so cool. It's no fees or whatnot. it's costing about $13 to $15 today because Bitcoin price dropped. But when it was higher, it was costing about $20. That $20 should have been back to you, but it's going to some other folks. So thirdly, no confidentiality. Ledgers, again, the goal was not about a ledger. Blockchains that they use public ledger, such as Ethereum, can enable folks to post a crime. You can film a crime and put it on public ledger and nobody can take it down. Is that the future that you want to build? Or child porn, or whatever it is. And people, they might feel like a little bit upset about it, but just get them to think, if that is your child, that no, you cannot take it down and everybody can see it. The ledger was not the goal here, okay? The ledger was a tool, and it's a bad tool. We could do better. Fourth is the scalability. If you don't have the first three, you don't need to worry about scalability. You don't. When many people are talking about scalability, you should be the first to, after you finish this room, you should tell them, do you have the first three? And many people, they say, oh, we can get 2 out of the 3, or maybe 1, or whatnot. No. If you don't have all the first 3, you do not need scalability. Your system is going to fail. You're not going to make it to the promised land, okay? Now, once you have all the first 4, security, efficiency, confidentiality, and scalability, you then need interoperability. And what do we mean by interoperability? It's the ability to exchange. So if you are building a blockchain, or you're putting your solution on a blockchain that is called Ethereum, while someone else putting it on EOS, how are your users going to exchange between each other? They're going to depend on a third party. That's back to square one. This is not what we signed up for. Peer-to-peer means that they have to be able to do one to the other without having to depend on a third party. It's going to end up causing more friction. That's if it's done securely. And many people, we've seen over 57, 58 different companies, they're calling themselves decentralized exchanges. But to you and me, there's still a third party, okay? So those are the 5 problems. That's how they look today. Can you guys see the shapes? We need them to look like this. That's better. Yay. So it's easy to remember. If you look at security, efficiency, confidentiality, scalability, interoperability, they start with SECSI. So spell the word sexy. When you wake up in the morning, you want to feel sexy. When you go to sleep at night, you want to feel sexy. And when you build a blockchain, you need to ask yourself, how sexy is that blockchain? You want to sign up to a blockchain, how sexy it is. So you can go through those 5 things very quickly and evaluate. When we get to those 5 things, we expect a world that folks, they can exchange value, manage value using their devices without having to depend on a third party. And this technology is coming. I'm one of the people that witness it coming every day with the technology called TODA. Folks that they know me, they know I don't advertise any of the products that I'm building or any products, period, especially the ones that I'm associated with. TODA is a protocol. It's free to everybody, so I can talk about TODA protocol. I won't talk necessarily a lot about the company itself. If you want to talk about the company, folks that are interested in, we have about 19 projects building on TODA. And we have Rasul here, one of us. If anybody would like to talk, we have Chantal over there. Happy to talk to you about that. Many of the companies, including Ethereum on TODA, actually came on board on November 12th. We'll make an announcement in 2019. Basically, we're looking at about 19 projects in total. 12 of them we do have partnership with. The rest of them we're about to make partnership. So that's about TODA. I'm seeing this firsthand, that this technology is coming. Those that they're building on top of it, they're just seeing color early on. Those that they're investigating and looking into it. As I said before, don't believe me, don't trust me, come and verify. But do the same to every single thing that is out there. the 5 necessities of the blockchain, the bat is out of the cave. So basically, even if I, died tonight, get hit by a truck, it is coming, it is going to happen. What we are doing, we're basically sending set of instructions to each and every device. The same way if I were to teach you language called English so you can talk to each other. Once you learn that language, nobody can stop you from communicating between each other. Now, if you speak different languages, then you're not interoperable, you need to depend on a third party. What we're giving is a set of instructions that your device is capable of running them, and everyone else's device is capable of running them, enabling you to manage every single asset that you can have, whether it is your health record, your money, your car, whatever it is, and enabling everyone around you to do the same. This is unstoppable. It doesn't rely on any third party, no database, no miner, no cloud, none of that. So if folks, they want to stop you, they change your operating system, you'll use another operating system. They bug your device, you use another device. They stop the network, you hop into a mesh network. The technology is unstoppable. The tsunami is coming. Gear up, help us build it, or sit back and watch it, but do not resist it. Thank you very much.